Okay. Okay, so open meeting at 5:03, public comment, hearing none. I don't see where there's anyone waiting. Approval of meeting minutes from February 18th, 2021.
I'll make that
Yeah.
motion.
Second.
Wait, okay, all in favor?
Wait, there's one tiny correction. If the originals that I sent out might have had the wrong date at the top. I corrected it for the town hall ones, but it should read February 18th, not January 21st.
Oh, I think you sent out an email right after you
Okay,
sent
good.
them.
Okay.
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Abstain? Okay, hearing nothing other than approvals. Moving right along. Discussion of the $30,000. Oh, Frank's waiting. Sorry. Okay. Discussion of the $30,000. Oh, I'm sorry. Additions to the agenda. Anyone have anything to add to the agenda? Okay. And new business, discussion of the $30,000 feasibility study. So it looks like that is passing through the Board of Finance currently. In fact, there's been some very positive conversations going on with it. And then I thought perhaps we could talk about sort of what the next steps would be should we get the $30,000, so that, you know, we're kind of thinking in the future, and, you know, what happens when the $30,000 gets approved in the town's budget. So my experience has been with the hiring of an architect, not, you know, a feasibility study necessarily, but, and Debbie, you can probably put a little meat around this conversation also, but so the $30,000 goes into the budget for the Library Board of Trustees. Then the Library Board of Trustees puts together, that's what we did anyway, for the architect, put together a committee, and the committee that was done for the previous project was 2 members of the Municipal Building Committee, the library director, board chair, and then the new library committee chair. So at that point, they go out, they work with the town puts out an RFP. It has to be published for so many days. And then the person is selected and hired. And the Board of Trustees gets the final say, and it comes out of their budget, their capital budget. And my guess is we could probably start working with the town and the Municipal Building Committee, or the board can start working with the town and the Municipal Building Committee on the RFP as early as, I would say, June, right? If it passes in May, then we should be able to start the process off in June. And, you know, the board has to decide exactly what needs to go into the RFP or what's expected to come out of this project, this $30,000 project. And the new library committee can perhaps have some say, if there is say, as far as, you know, working with the town and the purchasing agent and the Municipal Building Committee, maybe have an initial discussion with the Municipal Building Committee once the budget passes. So any questions around that? Great, okay.
And I believe the date of the referendum, I believe, is May 18th.
May 18th, everyone should mark their calendars, right?
Yeah, I think I heard that somewhere at another meeting like a month ago. I thought I heard the 18th.
Fantastic, fantastic. Yeah, so that process can move fairly quickly. I do know that this is a much smaller dollar amount, so it's probably something that moves through the town a little bit quicker too, which is nice. Then discussion of the below topics as needed, the timeline. We had talked about the timeline last time. Mary had offered to put it into fiscal years, and she did, which is great. Thank you very much, Mary. And I have that. And I will share my screen and we can review it. How does that sound? Let me just make sure I've got the right screen. Wow. It's a lot of stuff. Okay. Okay, I've got a lot of stuff open. Are you guys seeing the 2020 to 2028 new library timeline in fiscal years?
Yep.
Great. Okay. I've got a boatload of other stuff open. Okay. So July 2020 to June 2021 Center School location is publicly noted as the preferred location for the new library. And library is recommended as highest and best use for Center School. Then I feel like I'm hearing speak and spell. Then July 2021 to July 2022, library adds $30,000 to the capital budget to explore Center School options. Research, grant writing, and timing. Work on RFP. This I added, Mary did all of that, and then I just added a few bullets, work on the RFP with the Municipal Building Committee and Purchasing Agent. And Board of Trustees selects and hires consultant to do feasibility study of Center School, and then feasibility study is complete, right? All within that fiscal year. July 2020, hold on, I'm trying to, July 2022 to June 2023, library adds $125,000 to the capital budget for pre-referendum services. And then Mary was good about putting in that we'll be doing focus groups, educate, advocate, be visible, marketing, continue to create partners and allies. And then,
wait, Christine, when you had the library ads, do you mean they ask or they, where would we add it from? Are we from our reserves? Or what?
Just,
Yeah,
it's
we
a,
would ask for it in the
yeah,
next
it's just a budget
cycle.
item.
Yeah, we would ask for it in the next budget cycle, so it would be ready for use July 22nd.
Oh, I see. But it's okay. It's the town money that we want to ask for that. And then,
Yes.
Yes, got it. Okay.
And then any other questions on that? Summer of 2022, the town knows the final total cost of the I'm sorry. Okay, where am I? Okay, town knows the final total cost of the new school project and will revisit the town 10-year capital plan. Our timeline could possibly shift. This was something that I know was important to everyone. In September of 2022, the new school opens. Center School is vacant. July of 2023 to June of 2024, architect is selected, town meeting, info sessions, marketing, get out the vote. Again, Mary. And then July, so I did have one thing though, because we have the $125,000 in July of 2022 to June of 2023. My guess is that we could possibly add the architect selected into July of 2022 to 2023, June of 2023. So if we want to, we could make that switch. What do you guys think?
That makes sense.
Yeah, wherever you think it would most likely happen.
I will call you immediately.
Please do. Drop everything.
I will.
Yeah. Okay. And then town meetings, we'll just make that architect. Town meetings, info session, marketing, get out the vote. And then July of 2024 to June of 2025, pre-referendum services are completed, conceptual plan. Late 2024 to early 2025, expected referendum. And this could all shift. July of 2025 to June of 2026, post-referendum services begin. Project is now with the Municipal Building Committee. That's the point at which they take over. And Debbie, you could correct me if I'm wrong on that one. You guys are pretty hands-off once the referendum passes.
Right. Once it passes referendum, it goes to the NBC.
Okay. And then July of 2026 June of 2027, construction begins, and then we have our new library. And again, we all hope that the library is going to happen sooner. These are just the dates we're working with now. Put in fiscal years by Mary. Thank you very much, Mary.
It was all because of the discussion we had last time.
That's great. But thank you.
Mary,
Um,
did you send us all copies of that, or?
I honestly forget if I sent it to everyone or just Christina to look at, and then I did so many things since then, I forgot where I left it.
I think
So-
you just sent it to me. I'm more than happy to pass it out though, if you'd like.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know how much time you want to spend on it now, and now it's off the screen. I can't remember exactly what part I was looking at, but it seems like towards the end, there were some big gaps that maybe weren't identified. And there were also, I'm not sure that it has to be so exactly sequential. Like, I think some things overlap from one fiscal year and continue into another. So
Right.
I would just say at some point, we probably need to map it out on a,
A timeline.
yeah, like a horizontal timeline that shows blocks of time that might, more like that might overlap.
That's what I presented last meeting. And there was sort of that desire to put it into fiscal years. So I can send both of these out so that, it should be the exact same information. It is the exact same information because I think Mary took this timeline and just put it into fiscal years.
Yeah, I think merging the two is probably what has to happen next, just so that, so in other words, the blue headings on this chart that you're showing us go from July 1, 2021 to June 30th, 2022, and then the steps shift. But maybe that's, we don't have to worry about stuff like that right now.
Well, that's a good
Okay.
point, though, because you're really just showing when things begin, not
Right.
necessarily when they end.
Right.
Okay,
And
so-
sometimes one doesn't have to be complete to start the next thing. They overlap.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
You could just
So,
note that.
so like
when
on
you-
this chart that you have up now, you have September 2022, new school opens, and then the next thing I see is July 2023. So it's just a little
yeah, it's
confusing
because
because it looks like nothing's happening in between there. And so I think if it was,
so if you look at the part that's highlighted, that's July 2022 to June 2023.
right.
And then those were just some major points I think that Mary was trying to really draw your attention to by separating them out. And then you go to the next fiscal year. So we could make these smaller if it helps, or unbold them.
Well, no, I think like on the previous chart, if you saw that they were happening concurrently and things were overlapping and happening, at the same time, it just might make more sense.
Okay.
And two other requests for the timeline. We don't have the grant application on here, and that's going to take a big chunk of.
I
Right.
thought Mary had that.
It's
Mary,
just
didn't you have that?
research. Yeah, it's just this year, we'll research grant process and the timing of that. And obviously that would continue on until whenever.
Oh, research grant process. Okay.
I
Awesome.
And
wouldn't
what was the
forget
other
about
one? What was the other one, Yvonne? You said
And
two?
the other one was, let me just see if, so July 2022 to June 2023, that's the year that we are asking for the capital amount of 125. But that actually has to be the work for that, meaning the estimates and all of that have to be done the November prior.
Yes.
So like October, November, December of 2021,
Correct.
our next budget cycle.
Right.
This,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
I know
so
we
there,
haven't passed this budget, but that's the very next thing was we asked for that 125.
right, but in order to ask for it, so what they're doing now is they're wanting 3 estimates to go along with any capital requests going forward. So in order to get estimates for the architecture request, we'll have to start talking about that on a board level.
Yeah.
You know, probably no later than, August, September, so that we have time to go out and ask people to get us estimates so that we can have those back by November, so we can start that process.
We could also just go back and look at random proposals from the last time, because I think the purchasing department should still have copies of all the submitted proposals for the last time.
Well, we can ask if they will accept that, but one of the reasons why they were asking, and this was in the last department head meeting about a week and a half ago, where Julian said that one of the issues they had that the Board of Finance was coming to him with was, are these estimates current? So if they are older estimates, maybe there's an escalation amount that we can add to it or something like that. But I will ask Julian that and see what is required and if we can use those.
Yeah, clearly we have to escalate any of those estimates, but it's, that would be the easiest, I would think, one easier way to do it. Take the one we accepted and maybe another couple out of the 5 I think we had as top candidates.
Okay, so I don't know if you want to type onto that document since you had it up, Christina.
Yeah,
But we could say
absolutely.
like summer 2021, which is like in a few months. We should be ready to get estimates, whichever method is allowable by the town. And then budget season 2021, make sure we put in the request for the 125.
Absolutely.
Well, I would suggest also that there's another task. The 125,000 comes from what we asked for and got the last time around. I think that we may look at what it was we asked for and see if we still need everything that's involved and that drove the cost to that 125. It's possible that we could say, because if we have a feasibility study on the building, that's one thing the new architect is not going to have to do. So we may be able to look at what we ask for and craft the capital request so that it comes in at a lower cost, which would amaze the Board of Finance, I'm sure, but it's always, it's worth a try to see if we can do that.
Very good point.
Debbie, who's the architect for the school right now? What firm?
Acton.
Tecton?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, that's something. Do they do libraries?
No.
Not that I'm aware. I'm not
Okay.
positive, but I don't think so.
Okay.
But I will tell you, Doyle, the Doyle Coffin had never done a library when we chose them. When we were discussing people who submitted bids, there are people who have designed a lot of libraries in Connecticut. Well, not a lot, because there aren't a lot building, but nonetheless have experience. And there are people like the architect we hired who had never done a library. And I think it was the municipal building people, Josh and Paul Checo, who said, you've got a choice. People who've designed a whole bunch of libraries, what's to say that they're going to say, I've designed libraries before, here, this is what you get, as opposed to somebody who's never designed a library and you tell them, this is conceptually what we want. We need space for people. We need space for books. We need space for offices, and say, okay, you come up with a design.
Mhm.
So it's,
But they also worked on the Parks project. They had
Yeah.
worked on Cadigan, so they were also very familiar with the town, which was
yes,
This is the Doyle
something
Coffin
that we took
people.
into
Yes.
it.
Doyle
Yeah,
Coffin? Yeah.
yes.
they were the ones who came in at the end and cut the costs and were heroes for Parks and Rec in the end.
I think there's probably pros and cons to going either way. I know
Right.
that Debbie, you may be seeing this with the school project, but when I was on the architect committee for the new Sandy Hook School, we selected an architect firm that built a lot of schools. And they went through all the phases of, we did all the same things. We did the focus groups, we did all those things. And in the end, they pretty much gave us a design they had done a million times before. And even though we kept trying to tweak it, but that was the design that we ended up with. So I don't know if that's what you're experiencing, Deb, or if you're
Well,
seeing what they're
yeah.
doing. But
and I think sometimes that's a good thing. I mean, when we've talked to them about things that we want, they sort of pull out from their arsenal, like, oh, well, here's how we dealt with this in this school, and so they show us 3 or 4 options. And for me, that helps me visualize it better, and it kind of gives you a starting point to talk from.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any reason to say either one of those views is, the overriding view. The one thing that the municipal, or Paul Checco and Josh Flowers did, was bring their experience in writing and reviewing RFPs, and also what they graded things on. I mean, you can imagine Christina and I and Anita Barney, what do we know about how to pick an architect? But they actually have a set of questions that they say, do you do this? And the answer is yes or no, and that counts in their mind. It's not so cut and dried that they score it and one comes out ahead, but it gives you ideas about how to look at a proposal and how to make sure it's the one that the group is the one you want.
How set is the 125K?
It's not. That's the only, that number comes up because that's what it cost us the last time.
Which likely means it'll be more this time.
It depends on it depends on whether or not everything that's in that 125, as it was done before, still needs to be done.
Now I'm thinking of inflation and rising rates. That's why.
But
Well-
last time the site selection was part of the RFP. So we didn't have a site selected. So there was work that they went through to get to that point too.
Yeah.
So I would think that we do have a lot under our belt. Who knows? I mean, no one knows what we're going to wind up with for estimates.
Right. But in the response to the RFPs that are crafted, if it comes back that the one chosen by the NBC or in conjunction with the NBC, it comes back at 152, whatever the number is that going to be the number then everybody would be comfortable with?
It's not, well, it would, if we get those estimates ahead of when the budget gets submitted, yes, then we have to submit whatever numbers we think is the correct estimate. And if by any chance it gets approved and by the time we get around to doing it, it costs more, then we have to go back to the town and ask for more money. So, yeah, so the estimating, if we want to have it appear, if we want to request it for 2022, 2023 fiscal year, we have to know this fall what to ask for.
So that's now in the timeline, in the document timeline. And I'll forward this out as well as the other timeline.
But
We all
oh,
know that this could, sorry.
can I ask Yvonne a question about the grant? Didn't they put a timeline on if you get the grant, you only have X amount of time to get the shovel in the ground?
4 years.
Yes, I think it's 3 years. I'm trying to remember back because this was,
Okay,
it was pre-pandemic that we did that. But I think it's 3 years.
In my
Okay.
recollection, recollection was either 3 or 4 years too. So yeah, in that ballpark.
but we need to know that because
Yep. I'll get all that.
way, it's
information.
actually the same way when, if you get a referendum approving the construction, you only have a limited time of 2 to 3 years to get your shovel in the ground or you lose it. So that's part of the problem at the end of the process is, and when we expect that construction to start as to when we have to time everything else to.
And there's an annual cyclic time as to when you apply to grants, right?
Yes.
We have to get that kind of, you apply
Just like-
this part of the year to hopefully be approved the next year.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
have to submit a letter of intent almost like 8 months before the actual deadline for submitting the grant. So as soon as we have a kind of a time frame, then that's when we'll dig into all those due dates because the state updates that information and now we've got a new state library and the state librarian, so I don't know what will happen at all. But I do know that the closer we get to it, that will be our most accurate information at that time. So I attended a couple of sessions on the grant on how it all works. Now it's 18 months, 2 years ago, I guess. A whole year of
Yeah.
COVID went by without any of that stuff really happening. So I'll be sitting in on the next session and make sure I get updated information.
That's great. So we can plug that into the timeline too. Sort of a floating timeline. Was there any more discussion on the timeline? Did anyone want to talk more about that? I don't believe that we need to talk about center school or messaging at this point, discussions with boards and departments. We do need to confirm a date for our next meeting. We had originally said that we were going to meet during what is spring break. So next month, perhaps we plan to meet after spring break.
When is spring break?
Spring
Does the-
break is the week of the 12th through the 16th. And
But no-
actually, I can't do the 22nd. So I could possibly do the 20th. Nope. Hold on. The 21st I could do, which is a Wednesday. Does that work for everyone else?
I have a 6 o'clock early learning center meeting.
Okay. Do we want to push it one more week? We'll have a better idea of what's going on. Well, we probably won't know anymore.
The 28th is the library board meeting.
Yeah, the 29th maybe, which is a Thursday.
Fine with me.
Yeah, works for me.
Great. Excellent.
Also at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, 5 o'clock works for me. I can do later or earlier that day. It doesn't really matter.
You know, the 30,000 possibility in the budget is really epic. I mean, that's enormously big news.
It really is. It
Yeah.
really is.
And everybody just seems sort of a de facto, well, of course you're going to center school. They just seem to be accepting it.
Yep,
So great.
it's really great.
Well, the honest answer is, where else would it be?
Well, it's true, but still.
No, it is exciting. It feels
Yes.
like everything's sort of lining up, which is really nice. And having the Board of Finance support with that feasibility study is fantastic.
Mhm.
And
So
now
it's
that
really been
people
great.
can drive up and down Kennewood Lake Road and see physical work at the Huckleberry Hill site, they'll be like, wow, the school's really happening. And a lot of people in the mind like, okay, cross school off the list. We need a library,
Yep.
Absolutely.
just next on the list.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Okay, is there anything else before we adjourn?
Did we decide on a time for the 29th?
I thought we said 5 p.m.
5.
But I can do any time. So if that time does not work, I'm fine with any time that day.
It's fine for me.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. Okay, so we have a time. Anything else? Anyone have anything that they feel like we didn't touch on? No? Oh, Alice.
I just want to say, I think Frank's letter actually was a big help. You kind of got spurred things on down in town hall that, got them off their inertia there. So thank you.
That was a very nice letter.
My pleasure. I got responses from Steve and Sue. Did not get any responses, nor did I expect any from the Board of Finance. It was essentially the same letter with a minor tweak or two.
But the
But I
board,
was very heartened by the 2 meetings where it was discussed that the support among the Board of Finance was pretty pronounced for
yes,
the library relocating to Center School's property.
it was huge.
It's huge. It's huge. So I was very heartened that that support was pretty clear on the meeting.
Good stuff. Okay, and if there's nothing else, we'll adjourn at 5:53 or 5:35, sorry. 5:35.
And everybody have
Thank
a
you.
happy spring break.
Yes,
I'll be going to Bethel.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
have fun in Bethel.
thank you.